All right, well, getting to chatting about stuff. I recently started out the beginning of my reread projects on Fairy Tale and Black Clover, and after the first chapters, I wanted to do talking about the chapter one villains. Like that, those are one of the only really low villains in series that you remember only because they were in chapter one, and it's sometimes they get to have small appearances later. It's not like they're very big, but Bora at least got to have the presence of like being the first like one to display like dragon slaying magic and how exactly it works and the fact they can eat their attributes. And one of the things about him that I always was a little bit baffled by, in reality, think about it. I think you just gloss it over a little bit when you're reading the first chapter just because you're trying to get the feel of the first chapter. And then if you watch the anime, because the anime doesn't allude to it at all, and that's like what Bora was doing. Like he wasn't just kind of like being a bit scummy. Like he was looking for slaves. I mean, the dude was looking for women to kidnap to sell into slavery, and I think everybody can guess of what happens when you sell like very attractive women to slavery and what branch of market they would go in. So Bora, like very scummy dude right off the bat. Dude's a dirtbag, not somebody that you'd ever be like, man, I can't wait to see that guy again. You just be like, man, fuck that guy. I hope he never comes back. We don't need him around. The only thing that I would ever want Bora to come back is if there's ever going to be any confirmation of like if him and Mako were in the same room, like, oh yeah, we use a similar style of magic. Just because he uses a type of fire magic, and I don't think it's ever shown in the manga in canon color, but in the anime it's drawn as like, or it's colored as this kind of like purpley, like magenta-y color, and Mako has a similar like colored magic with this purple flare. So there was always like a mild question of if there are any related, because it's pretty cool when you have characters that have like the same magic, but used in various different ways, or and you have various different levels. That's one of the things I really liked about the last chapter when we found out the stuff about Agil and Max. That was good. So in terms of a chapter one villain, I think Bora has a pretty fair design. I always like the cloak. I mean, he's got like his general design. If you just saw him and you didn't know anything about his character, he'd be one of those guys like, oh, he's probably gonna be like some mid-level, like guy within one of these organizations, and not too powerful, but not really anything to like. Not he will get like a scene, but that's about it. He'll probably get like, oh yeah, hyped, and then beat up by another character shortly after to kind of have that display of like, oh, he beat this character, kind of like Dobengal from Sabretooth. Like that guy really didn't do anything other than have these Sabretooth members like see Natsu just completely body him, be like, holy shit, he beat one of our top 10 guild members. Like that's all I could really ever see Bora like at peak, just because there is a level of effort that went into his design. But obviously that's because he's a Chapter 1 bad guy. The Chapter 1 bad guys usually get at least something nice. I mean, he's got his cool cloak. I mean, he was lucky enough that he got his previous guild name and Titan Nose dropped. But, I mean, that's all the dude really had. I mean, I guess he had a cool boat. I mean, at least there's that. He had a cool ship. And outside of that, nothing. Like, Natsu wasn't even, like, trying at all when he fought him. Like, even said that his fire tasted bad. The dude just didn't have anything going on for him. And further insult to injury, we came to dislike him more later on. We found out, like, how he was with Juvia, because he, at one point, dated Juvia, but he dumped her because he didn't like the fact that whenever she was around, it was always raining. So, he ended up ditching her. Which is funny when you think about it, because obviously, like, Juvia's, like, she's not, like, a top tier, but she's still pretty powerful when you think about, like, her spot in, think about her spot in the overall world of Fairy Tail. She's still pretty prominent in rank. But even at, like, the beginning of the series, she was an element 4, and Bora was fodder to Natsu. So, she had to be much stronger than at the time they dated, and, and when he dumped her. That's just interesting to think about, because you wouldn't imagine like some dude like that, like dating somebody way more powerful than him, and then just being like, I can't be with you. I feel like a normal person would be like a little bit like, I hope she doesn't drown me for pissing her off. I don't know. Like Bora doesn't really get much outside of that. Like he's got like a couple parts where he just has an in-panel cameo where he's in the background, and that's the kind of the last one where he at least got something. I mean, even Aragorn got a little bit more. I'll talk more about Aragorn when we get to this video, but I just wanted to do one on Bora. I'm going to do one on Revchi too, just because I think in terms of Chapter 1 villains, they are nobody to really care much about, but it's somebody to like, oh yeah, it's that guy. I mean, that's still better than what most get. I mean, he could be no insult in terms of this, but One Piece where you have but the eel, the little tiny sea king or whatever from like the first chapter, or that like slime dude from the first chapter of My Hero, any of those guys, where it's like you guys unfortunately got the we want to forget about you like effort from the authors. They're putting their time in for characters of worth, not these chapter one fodder guys. Or at least, like I said, at least his design is fair. Like, he's got a fair design. His hair doesn't look too goofy. He's got the cool cloak. His magic is at least something. I mean, he gets to fly. That's more than what most Chapter 1 bad guys get. He at least got a cool aspect of his power, and flight is always a good trait to have with their abilities. So, just in reminiscing about him, I think his magic was alright. His design is okay. I think that the largest thing about him that is memorable is if you've read the manga, because I think in the anime they said that like, he was I'm looking for models. When in the manga he was looking for slaves, and he was gonna straight brand Lucy, and like he was drugging people. He was both magically charming them, and he was going to drug them. Like, dude was absolute, just like a dumpster level person. Nobody you'd ever want to talk to. Somebody you'd probably just like see on the street, know something, and be like, I'm gonna go beat that dude's ass. And especially because he's pretty weak too. Like, he never even got like a part to come around where it's like, hey, years and years later, post time skip, any of the time skips, like he's stronger, but like his level of strength is still fodder. It's still like, hey, you made effort, but that's about it. Anyway, other than that, comment below. Give me your thoughts on this guy. I mean, I don't think anybody's gonna have anything to say other than like he's only memorable because he was in the first chapter. Like, if he was in chapter 2 or 3. People wouldn't really remember him. I don't imagine most people remember Everlu's name or anybody like that. But anyway, comment below, thumbs up the video, from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. But other than that, I appreciate everybody who's already subscribed. And I thank you all for listening. Bye.